It's Silverstone, the home of British motorsport, and here we go with the Honda British Talent Cup of 2022. The short 1.6 mile national circuit will be action right from the beginning, with the Road to MotoGP commencing here in terms of the British Talent Cup. Let's go through the top six on the grid. Thick and fast here then. Peter Willis from Northern Ireland, fully recovered now from that nasty accident with Casey O'Gorman, who went on to win the title last year at Knock Hill in 2021. Harrison Crosby from Ashford in Kent, the 16-year-old on the Banks Racing machine in the middle of Road 2. Here's Harvey McCabe, one of the many MLab Vision Track Academy riders, and he's fourth on the grid. His first full season here. Front row, and we've got three different nationalities. Keanu Vaya here on the Michaelis Cresswell Racing machine is from the Netherlands, the European Mini-Moto champion of 2019. Julian Carrere from the States, middle of the front row of the grid, the 13-year-old American, number 40. Pole position though, and it might be fair to say he's the title favourite for 2022. Johnny Garness, another now MLab Vision Track Academy rider on that 101 pole time, the 13-year-old from Ilfracombe in Devon, and he's also doing the European Talent Cup this year with the MLab Vision Track Academy. It is a beautiful day here in Northamptonshire. I'm looking out of the commentary box window, a few clouds, but mostly a clear blue sky. Greg Haynes with you. Taylor McKenzie, delighted to say Taylor's joining us. Taylor was the 2016 National Superstock champion here at the Bennett's British Superbike Championship, and of course, importantly, a big boss this year, team manager in the Moto3 World Championship for the MLab Vision Track Academy. How's that going?
Yeah, it's great. It's a pleasure to be here, Greg, and really looking forward to this race. The Vision Track team obviously extends into this championship as well, so it's good for me to keep an eye on all these guys too.
We've been trying to count how many riders there actually are, aren't we? What is it, 18, 19, getting towards 20 riders in the whole of the academy, aren't there?
Yeah, I haven't got enough fingers to count myself, but I think it's around 19 across all the classes.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and you have to think they're looking particularly strong this year. Who are the MLab Vision Track Academy riders here? Johnny Garness, the pole sitter, Dan Goodman, Carter Brown, Harley McCabe and Peter Willis. 2 warm-up laps for all of the categories here at BSB this weekend at Silverstone. Quick note though, unfortunately, on Evan Belford. He had an accident here yesterday and was collected by other riders, and a broken leg, unfortunately, down at Brooklands Corner. So what a shame, Taylor, for Evan Belford, because he certainly was one of the title contenders this year. Hopefully back soon.
Yeah, real shame. There's so many talented young kids now. Evan, he had a great season last year and very unlucky to get caught out like that. Yeah, I was really looking forward to see how he was going to get on this season.
Yeah, me too, and best wishes to Craig, his dad, and to Evan himself. Hopefully he'll be back ASAP as they make their way around Brooklands. There's the long lap penalty on the left-hand side of your screen on the outside of Luffield Corner. This is the first of 2 warm-up laps here at Silverstone. Ahead of us in the next minute or two, season 5 of the Honda British Talent Cup. Who will follow in the footsteps of Rory Skinner, Scott Ogden, Franco Bourne and Casey O'Gorman as the season 5 champion. Here's the grid then. We've seen the top few already. Garness on the pole. He is from England. And then the American Carrere and the Dutchman Vaya, his brother Colin Vaya, racing in the Red Bull Rookies. Those of you will know who watched that one. Harley McCabe, Crosby and Willis is row 2. Behind them, this was all decided in qualifying, by the way, earlier this morning. Ryan Hitchcock, Ollie Walker was a front runner last year. Carter Brown should be a title contender. Then it's Lucas Brown, no relation. Alex Rowan and Reece Stevenson on row 4. McKay, Goodman and Hopkins is row 5. And as you can see for yourself, it's a big field. 84 could be one to watch out for, we reckon.
Yeah, 84 there. I forget my, or forgive me for my pronunciation of Roysbrook, but he's being helped by Scott Ogden, my rider in Moto3.
How's it going, Terry? Because you've had points scores, haven't you, from the first 2 Grand Prix? Was it, let's get this right, Indonesia and then Texas last weekend? Yeah,
that's right. Scott, he's a rider from this championship previously. He was racing in the Junior World Championship last year, and he moved up this season with our team to the Moto3 class. And it's been amazing. He grabbed his first points in Indonesia. He's been threatening the whole time to do that, and then he backed that up again at the last round with a 12th place finish after qualifying 12th. So I'm chuffed to bits for the way he's working and the way the whole team's working. It's been a real pleasure to be a part of it.
How on earth does Michael Laverty operate? Does he ever stop that man?
I think he's roughly got 27 hours in the day, it appears, because I don't know how else he's doing it, to be honest. He seems to just, he's got some kind of special trick that he's keeping up his sleeve.
And he is here today, I believe. I've not seen him yet in the paddock, but I believe he's around. There's one of his bikes then. Johnny Garness, you can see, look, he's almost on tiptoes there. He's definitely one of the smaller, lighter riders, and definitely on the straight sections. He was pulling away with ease last year. but others having to work harder to keep up with them in the corners. What are we going to see then for the Honda British Talent Cup of 2022? The first racing action of BSB this year, and we are away with the 22 Honda British Talent Cup at Silverstone. Clean start off the line, down into Copse Corner for the first time, and Johnny Garness, we said he was light, we said he was quick off the line, and he's leading through Copse on the first lap here at Silverstone. It's a long race ahead of us though, 22 laps here this afternoon. They're all on full slick racing tyres, of course. Road to MotoGP, Garness with a clear lead, steaming up the inside as we get down into Maggotts and Beckett's for the first time. Ollie Walker's made a good start too, and as they're coming together at the back, well held there by Scott McPhee on the S&P Racing machine. Somebody else ran off wide behind, but I think kept it upright. But it's a relatively clean start, Taylor, for the British Talent Cup.
Yeah, it's a really tricky first set of corners there. Once you head off from turn 1 down to Maggotts Beckett's, it's really easy to get caught up, especially with a full fuel tank at the start of these races. So they all did incredibly well to get through there, relatively unscathed.
Round Luffield for the first time. Second place is held then by Julian Correa, the 13-year-old from America. Oh, track limits for a few of them further back. Number 29 was Lucas Brown, the 14-year-old, on one of the Steve Patrickson run machines. Steve is a master of the lightweight categories here in the BSB paddock. Multiple champions in the past, including in the 125 class. But I was going to say it's sort of settling down a bit at the front, but maybe I was wrong, because you've got side by side there with McCabe, who's made a good start, and Correa. But look at that, McCabe on one of the MLAV bikes is up into second place from 4th on the grid, not for long. Correa back underneath him.
Yeah, it's really easy this track to keep the bunch together, because you see once we enter this back straight here, when we get to the last 2 corners, riders can let the brakes off, run in on the rider in front, and then get sucked around in the slipstream as they come into the start-finish straight, and it pulls the bunch back together. So I fully expect this race to be a bit of a bunch fight like this, and it'll be good as the race goes on.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a big favour to the leader. Nothing against Johnny Garness, because his pace looks really, really good anyway, but that's a really handy gap, isn't it, on lap 2? It's almost 7/10 of a second. We'll see what it is when they cross the line. There's the order for you down the left-hand side of the screen. Don't forget, it's 25 points for a win, 20 for second, 16 for third, down to 1 point for 15th position. We'll have a second race tomorrow. Somebody else exceeding track limits coming out of that last corner. Long lap penalties might be handed out later on the outside of Luffield Corner. There's Harrison Crosby then. Easy to spot Harrison, the Banks Racing machine there, the Canary yellow machine, up to second place now. Fastest out 102.1. The record here, we can tell you, is from 2020 Harvey Claridge, and that was a 101.4.
Banks Racing, they seem like they've been around forever. When I was racing in this class, I sound like an old person now. Back in the day when I was riding.
Sound like your dad.
Yeah, Steve Patrickson as well. They've had bikes out in these championships for years now, and they're very experienced teams. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, the level is so high, isn't it, in this paddock?
It's good for us to see in my non-biased commentary here that the Vision Track bikes are all close to the front, and Johnny Garness doing a great job there to already break away. It's a difficult thing to do at this track, but if you can make the break and these other riders start messing each other up, then there's a chance he could hold that at the front.
Yeah, and with Ever Belford out of action, Casey O'Gorman, the reigning champion, is headed off to the Red Bull Rookies full-time this year and the European Talent Cup. And he's an MLAV rider as well now, isn't he, Casey O'Gorman?
Yeah, it's hard for me to keep track of them all. We've got so many different riders across so many different classes that it's amazing. We've got some really talented kids coming through these younger ranks, and then we've also got the likes of Leon Haslam, sponsored by Vision Track and the British Superbike Series as well. So across all these classes, you'll see a Vision Track bike somewhere, and then also obviously in the Moto3 Championship as well with Scott Ogden and Josh Watley.
So is there a lot of communication between the guys here in this paddock and your Grand Prix team as well? I suppose they're in touch quite regularly, aren't they?
Yeah, the main point of communication is Michael Laverty, so I think his phone's red hot. Mine, luckily, is mainly to do with the GP team, is my involvement, so I'm more focused on all of that and looking after those guys, the mechanics and the riders there. But yeah, Michael's phone is very, very busy.
That pink blob you can see on the left-hand side of the screen next to number 53, Keanu Vaya, is the rider who holds the fastest lap of the race so far, and that will keep changing as the race goes on. It's interesting though, they've reeled Garness in, haven't they? You can see the lap we're on at the top of the screen, and there is the new fastest lap of the race then, a 101.6 for Carter Brown, and you'd expect Carter, who was up there all season long last year, to be a challenger. So, a change for the lead for the first time since this race began. Harrison Crosby goes through down at Maggotts, and now Garness has dropped back into the pack. It's going to be difficult to pull away again, I think.
Yeah, definitely. He didn't quite manage to get back down to the times he did in qualifying at the start of this race, and that gave them the opportunity to get back. Carter Brown down in 8th place, actually did the fastest lap of the race there, and a lot closer to what they achieved in qualifying. I think that was actually faster. It was half a second faster than Carter went in qualifying. You can see him there. He's the slightly larger guy out of all the riders there. Not large because he's big, just that he's surrounded by tiny children around him, so he finds it a little bit harder. He's going to have to get tucked in a little bit more. The extra weight's obviously going to hinder him, but you can see him there. He's doing a great job coming through.
Taylor, you've raced 125s and all sorts of different machines in pack racing like this. How difficult is it to just stay patient and stay in the group? Because you're never going to be able to break away like you might be able to on a more powerful bike, are you?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's hard watching kids like this. If anyone's been to a child's football match where they all run around chasing the ball, it can get a little bit like that in the junior classes where you're just concentrated on passing the rider in front. It's easy to forget about the bigger picture and try and concentrate on what's going to happen at the end of the race. These riders, though, they're very experienced. Some of these kids have already had 5-10 years of racing, even at this age of 14, so they know exactly what they're doing. They'll all have a bit of a game plan in their heads, but now the race is bunched up. So for Johnny Garness here, it's going to completely change the way he looks at this race now. He's going to have to try and sit in the bunch, look after his tyres, and then concentrate on the end of the race.
Carter Brown, 74 there on the outside, one of the white Vision Track bikes this year. He was on a red bike last year. We'll have to get used to that as the season goes on. Let's just get used to who's who then. Banks Racing Machine 15, your current leader, Harrison Crosby. This is lap 7 of 22, nowhere near even half race distance yet. Patience is a virtue in the Honda British Talent Cup. Right round the outside goes one of the MLAV bikes, up on the curves, but not on the green painted area, so that's perfectly legal. Crosby towards us, 53 cutting through is the Dutch rider, Keanu Vaya, the 53-year-old. Carter Brown really cutting through now, and somebody, number 23, that was Reece Stevenson, the Rocket Racing Machine. He's from Boston, he's 16 years of age, was pinned up against the inside curb there at Maggots, down the Wellington Straight, where the Wellington bombers used to take off and land during the war. Keanu Vaya at the inside, the Dutch rider. His brother Colin Vaya, a Red Bull rookie star even last year, and Keanu now in his first full season here. He's small and light and nimble as well, and flies on the straights, and now his racecraft will surely be improved, Taylor, bearing in mind it's his second season. And I reckon he's a dark horse for the title this year as well. He's going well now, up to second place. Yeah,
there's such a varied in ability, size, age, and all these things. All these kids are obviously getting to an age where puberty kicks in, and some of them are maturing at faster rates than others, so you end up with this big variation in size in the riders, and that's what keeps this race together, because some of the bigger riders can make passes on the brakes. You'll see Cartier is going to look to make a pass, but then some of the lighter riders, when they get back out of the corner, can make a pass as they exit the corner, so it keeps the bunch together.
Like lottery balls, a machine. That was Julian Correa there. That's where it's all going to kick off, isn't it, on the last lap? It's going to be down into that bottleneck section at Maggots and Beckett's where they're tipping it right. They would continue then down to the Beckett sequence and Chapel and the Hanger Straight on the Grand Prix circuit, but it's tight, round to the right on the national track here at Silverstone. Here's Harrison Crosby then. He's 16 years old, from Ashford in Kent. Banks Racing, yellow machine. They're all identical bikes in this class. They are all single-cylinder four-stroke Honda NSF 250Rs. There's a minimum weight now of rider and bike of 148 kilos. Look at this. We're looking at Correa in the middle, Reece Stevenson up the inside, and Correa nearly running into the back of one of the Vision Trap bikes. He did a very good job to keep that on the island.
Yeah, that corner there, as it really tightens up, it can become a little bit of a bottleneck. You're concentrating on the rider in front, you might go to look to do a little bit of a pass, and then all of a sudden you'll see it here where it bunches up, and right at the last second all the bikes slow down altogether, and if you're not slowing down fast enough, it's easy to run into the back of the guy in front.
Right, this is the top 10 by my reckoning, absolutely locked together. There's at least 9 in there. Peter Willis has dropped down a little bit, but he's still in the leading group. The rider, number 99, the Northern Irishman, who's recovered now from the crash at Knock Hill last year. He's still in this leading group as well. Started 6th on the grid for this one. Let's just remember as well, fastest laps from this race will determine the starting grid for racing tomorrow. One of the leaders has gone down. It's kicked off already. It's one of the Vision Trap bikes, 79, Harley McCabe, as you say, 4th on the grid, his first full season. We knew it was going to happen at some point, but it's come early on lap 9, down Taylor in the gravel at Luffield. Oh, and a picture speaks 1,000 words. No points in race 1 for Harley McCabe.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Harley made his debut last year in the British Championship. Really talented young kid, and he's made a step forward this year. We've got.
And what's that?
It's a bike's blown up there. very rare in this class that, oh, there, it's the blue Viking shot there.
Yep, 61. Is this going to be a red flag? Has oil gone down on the track? The rider is Harrison McKay. He's turning 14 on Monday. The Wilson Racing Machine. Oh, no. This may well be a red flag. I hope he's not dropping anything. Is it dropping? He's still on the track as he comes. He's gone all the way down through Maggots, Beckett, all the way down the Wellington Straight. They'll be flagging him off. He's waving at the marshals. Yellow flags are out. Are we going to see a red flag coming out? Surely the chances are improving all the time. And finally, he pulls off down at Brooklands. He's been shown the meatball flag, the black flag with the orange disc, but he's off the track anyway now. But I just hope no oil's gone down.
Looking at his boot, I think we have got a bit of an oil spillage. His boot's quite shiny there, unfortunately. That's when you're riding. That's one of the first things you can notice. If you're in the corner, your boot falls off the peg because you've got oil on your foot. So I really hope it hasn't dropped anything. But
right, the red and yellow flag is out. The lack of adhesion flag is out. Here it is. I saw it at Cops. It's down at Maggots. If there is oil or any other lubricant down on the track, we're about to find out because they're coming up to, let's call it the danger zone now. There's a big squeeze there. Oh, look at that. Hung out to dry on the outside is Hardy McCabe. Oh, sigh of relief. They've all got through cleanly at Maggots and Beckett. Let's have another look at actually what happened there then with the bike. It's coming out of Cops and boom. That's so rare to see actually in the Honda Talent Cup.
Yeah, very rare. I don't want to say it's whether it's oil or water, but I would presume it was oil. Sometimes it can just be water and it's a radiator that's burst, but I'd imagine it was oil. This is Harley McCabe.
Yeah, Harley McCabe just a few seconds before. Didn't quite see how that started, did we? But I'm guessing there's just been a bit of contact there through Luffield.
Yeah, it could be contact. That part of the corner, you could lose the front going in there, but with these bikes, they ride so close together, it doesn't take much for someone to give you a little bit of a touch and you're down, but without seeing it, it's hard to say.
Race control, Stuart Higgs is the BSB series and race director. He's had communication from the marshals all around the circuit. Great work by everyone as usual. No problems in terms of the surface. The track is clear, so we race on and we're moving now into the second half of the race. Lap 12 of 22, 11 laps down, 11 laps to go. And how many have we got in this leading group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think it is now, down to Willis there. And Riesbrook, you mentioned before in number 84, he's running well. He's inside the top 10 in 9th place.
Yeah, also Carter Brown's managed to work his way through. You see Johnny Garness there can just make that back up on the straight, but Carter's doing an incredible job to manage this race and stay at the front of the bunch.
Another one stopped on the Wellington Straight. It's Zach West and the NW Racing Machine was a tail runner in this race, certainly not up in the leading group, and he stopped on the Wellington Straight as well, number 35. So let's just settle down for the last half because we know it's going to start getting exciting as we move into the last few laps. And we're such a short track here as well. It's difficult to know whether you actually want to be in the lead heading into the last lap. I mean, you've got the long run down the Wellington Straight, so I suppose the chances are if you're behind coming onto there, you might be in the lead coming out of Brooklands.
Well, if you look at Ryan Hitchcock, he's managed to work his way through from 7th on the grid all the way to the front, and then in one corner he's back to 3rd, and then he's back up to 2nd. So it can be a little bit of a lottery this when you get to the last lap. Depending on your position when you get onto the straight, it's really important to get a good run onto the straight behind the bike in front, use the slipstream to your advantage, and then that puts you up the inside into this last section of the track.
Isn't this brilliant to see? It's all identical machines. There is that minimum combined weight we mentioned of 148 kilos, but different riders, different weights, different sizes, different teams, different mechanics, and look how close they all are together. They are mentored by Matt Belton from an MSVR point of view, Motorsport Vision Racing, and Alex Baldolini representing Dorna on this, the road to MotoGP. And a great calendar as well, isn't it, Taylor? They're going all over the UK. It's 18 races at 9 events, including the showpiece, of course, the British Grand Prix weekend itself in early August, so the pressure will be on for that one.
Yeah, do you know what else is really good about these races? They're so long, which for a young person, you come from club racing or mini bike racing, the races can be 6 or 8 laps. You move up to this class and it's 22 laps this race, which is good, is better preparation for when you do get to the Grand Prix scene, because the races are 40-45 minutes long, and it's really important for kids to start getting used to racing in longer distances. For a young person, it does seem like such a long time on the bike, but really it's important to try and learn how to concentrate over such a long race distance.
Yeah, and they get extra practice time as well, don't they? And they're on no tread on the tyres, of course, full slick Dunlop Moto3 racing tyres. That was a very late lunge indeed from number 74, Carter Brown. He's still only 15 years of age, the man from Bridgewater. And look at him, right out on the outside as we come through Luffield. Busy season though, isn't it? They haven't just got these races, but a lot of them doing, or a few of them doing Red Bull Rookies, European Talent Cup, so there's a lot going on.
That's right. Carter's also racing in the CEV Championship on the Moto2 team that we've got in the European Championship. But yeah, across all these riders, there's so many different junior championships now between the Red Bull Rookies, the British Talent Cup, the European Talent Cup, and it's great having long sessions, a lot of time on the bike, a lot of laps during the year, and that's how you improve as a rider, especially when you're young. The more laps you can do, the quicker you can progress. So it's great that we've got so many opportunities for them now.
Yeah, you saw the progress there on that graphic of Carter Brown. Started 9th on the grid, a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be some entertaining graphics like that, I think, in the Talent Cup across the season. He's going out and racing a 600 and also a Moto 2 as well, isn't he, Carter?
Yeah, so he's just racing, I believe. I mean, we have got 19 riders, so I could be wrong on this, but I think Carter is racing in the Moto 2 class for the Vision Track team as well. And then we've also got riders like Casey O'Gorman, who's racing in the Red Bull Rookie Championship and then also in the European Talent Cup as well. So there's a real mix in these riders. Carter's bigger, as you can see here, so he's big and strong. He can ride a Moto 2 bike. And yeah, that's why it's difficult for Carter in a race like this, because he's going to have smaller riders making life hard for him. So really, if he can get on a 600, he's the right size for a 600 now, and let himself progress there. Yeah,
and when we say 600s and Moto 2, we're talking obviously chiefly there about Junior GP. It used to be known as the FAM CV Repsol, now known as Junior GP. The big class there, of course, is the Moto 3 Junior World Championship, but they have the Moto 2 European Championship as well. Okay, we're counting down the laps now. Then you can see that Carter Brown at the top of the screen, that purple circle, the purple blob next to his position there. His position first, then their race number, then the name, as you can see for yourself. But the purple mark on the left is the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:01.6. So we're almost on lap record pace now. It was a 1:01.4 for Harvey Claridge a couple of years ago.
This will be a good test here to see if Carter can hold it to the line, because building up to the last lap, if Carter can make a pass on the inside, you can see here they're going to start spreading out, and then he ends up 4th across the line. So it's going to be difficult for him coming into this last lap, because I wouldn't imagine he'll be able to slipstream anyone to the line. What I would imagine would happen in this race is, as it pans out, it's going to come to that last left-hand corner. There's going to be all the bigger riders making their lunge there, and then all the smaller riders using their advantage of the speed and their weight to get themselves back across the line.
Reece Stevenson is really making progress, isn't he? 16 years old now, as I said before. He's yet to finish on the podium here in the Honda British Talent Cup. And all through last year, we saw him making his way gradually up towards the front. But you said earlier on, didn't you, that he charged through? We just saw on the graphic down the left there. He started 12th on the grid, and he's currently in the lead, or was briefly in the lead of this motorcycle race. Now, we have passed 2/3 distance. If we got a red flag, this race would not be restarted. As you saw there, somebody down in trouble. One of the 151 machines is down.
It's Bailey Stewart Campbell.
Oh, yes, it is, isn't it, with his pink and black livery. He's kept that from last year. Troy Jeffrey, the Scots, has just pulled into the pits as well, so I don't know whether that's connected. But this is over at Maggots by the looks of things for Bailey Stewart Campbell, out of the race, and that's a shame. He was running up inside the fight for top 10 positions. Out of the race he goes. They're coming up to that section of track now. I doubt there's a yellow flag, because you wouldn't be seeing all of this chopping and changing, but there are some flags there as they come out of the right-hander at Beckett's. Reece Stevenson, Taylor's just dropped down towards the tail end of the pack. He put his hand up there. Now, I don't know whether he feels he's just been passed under yellow flags, but he definitely lost a couple of places.
Yeah, and there was the yellow flag out there, so, I mean, really, you should hold your position and not pass. The difficult thing for younger riders like this, well, not just younger riders, myself, I've been fallen victim to it, is when you're in the race situation, there's so much going on and there's so many people around you. Sometimes it can be difficult to see yellow flags. Most of the time they are very obvious, but if you've got a rider up your inside, all of a sudden your attention draws to them and it's easy to miss something.
Okay, you are watching the first race of the season of 2022 for the Honda British Talent Cup. Laps 19, 20, 21 and 22 to go. 4 to go then. Harrison Crosby, Banks Racing, the yellow bike, number 15. Behind him, Carter Brown with the MLAV Vision Track Academy this year. His teammate, Johnny Garnett, who started on pole, is on the left of your screen. He's trying to come, and he has gone through on the inside. That was a great run through Cops there for the pole setter, going from 3rd to 1st. Reece Stevenson is the black machine up the inside there. 43 on the outside is Ryan Hitchcock. And just a quick shout out once again to Evan Belford, who broke a leg yesterday. Came off at Brooklands, was hit by some other riders and out of action. He is back at the circuit here today and hopefully back racing as soon as possible. Towards the back of this group, you got Keanu Via, number 53, on one of the Cresswell machines, and Peter Willis, 99, who started on row 2. He's in 8th place. Any one of the 8, there he is, Willis, any one of the 8 could finish at any one of these 8 positions with 3 to go.
Yeah, it's a very difficult one to predict. I wouldn't be able to give you a prediction. That it's all going to really come down to this last lap. Your position as you enter the first lap, I really don't know what I'd be doing, to be honest. If I was the smaller rider, you'd be trying to plan it so that you've got the slipstream coming across the line and get a run to the line. If you're the taller rider, I don't think you've got any other option other than to make a big pass into that left-hander, try and cause a bit of a gap as you come around the right-hander, Woodcote, and hold your position to the line. But it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to keep the smaller people away.
Keanu Vaya just taking 2 for 1 there as they came out of Maggots. That was close as well between the leaders. We need to watch out for back markers. Look, yes, speak of the devil on this short circuit. That's Troy Jeffrey, who's rejoined from a pit stop with a problem, the Scottish rider from Kelso. Now, the blue flags will out. There he is, and I think they probably will catch him. We've still got 2 laps to go. Oh, let's hope they catch him on the Wellington Straight or the start-finish straight, Taylor, and not down towards the bottleneck at Maggots and Beckett's, because that could and would change the race. 2 laps to go. There he is, up the road into Cox. They're definitely going to catch him, aren't they? Or imagine how you're feeling at the moment if you were Troy Jeffrey. He'll know they're not too far behind him. Reece Stevenson up to 3rd then. But like Taylor says, how can you possibly plan anything? You just don't. There's the blue flag out for Jeffrey, but you just don't know what's going to happen. There could be an incident ahead of you. It wouldn't be at all surprising to see Vaya or Willis, who are currently at the back of this leading bunch, coming through to the front. And Correa now getting quite aggressive. The American number 40 up to 4th place. Now they're coming up to the back marker as they come down the Wellington Straight. Hopefully, Troy Jeffrey will move out of the way. He's ahead of them at the moment. This is Brooklands. Oh, I don't know where they're going to catch you, actually, Taylor. I think it's going to be down into Luffield. This is not where they wanted to catch him at all. And this is really going to have a bearing now. They're definitely being held up now by Troy Jeffrey, unintentionally, of course. And great stuff, Troy sees the blue flags, cleanly out of the way. He won't know how many of them are right up behind him. 6 have got through. 2, in fact, he's trying to go with them as they come through to the 22nd and final lap. It's Johnny Garness then with the lead from pole. He was down to about 5th. Look how he's trying to pull the pin there.
Yeah, he's doing an excellent job here getting to the front. That's the best thing he can do is get away from this bunch. As we approach this Maggots Beckett section here, it's very possible that someone's going to have a look up the inside, run everyone wide, and that will split the group up even more. But Johnny Garness is doing a great job here of doing that. Carter managed to sneak through as well there.
Yeah, this is a great final lap so far for Johnny Garness, and we know he's nice and small and light and can pull away on the Wellington Straight. Can those behind with the slipstream do anything about him? He was 8 times a podium finisher, twice a winner in the class last year, en route to 5th in the championship, and it looks as though it's going to be about the battle for 2nd, because Johnny Garness has a half a second lead as we come round Brooklands. It's his to lose now. Luffield for the last time. How close behind them does he think they are? He does not need to defend. They're far enough back. Up to 2nd then goes Harrison Crosby. Up to 3rd then now is Garness's teammate Carter Brown, but it will definitely be the 13-year-old from Ilfracombe in Devon. Johnny Garness wins race 1 of the Honda Talent Cup in 2022. Crosby grabs 2nd from Carter Brown, Vaya, Hitchcock, Stevenson, Correa from the front row down to 7th, and Peter Willis completing that top 8 leading group. This is for points as well. That was Ollie Walker there, 12th ahead of Hopkins, Lucas Brown, and number 71 picking up the final point. That's Dan Goodman on one of the MLab Vision Track Academy bikes. But it was never really in doubt. You never quite know what's going to happen, but it just, oh, that was close on the slowing down. That it just felt like Johnny Garness with the shark teeth helmet there was in control of that.
He played that perfectly because he actually set his fastest lap of the race on the last lap, and that's exactly how to do it, to get that gap, split the group up, and yeah, did enough to hold it across the line away from all the trouble.
Very, very smart stuff there from Johnny Garness. Here's Carter Brown. Remember, the fastest laps from this race will decide the grid for race 2 here tomorrow. So like Taylor says, Johnny Garness sets his personal best lap on the final lap of the race, a 1:01.9, and it was a 1:01.6 for Carter Brown, which will put him on pole position for Sunday's race. He's not quite on that record pace there. He's 2/10 off. Here you go. Fastest laps from this race, grid positions for race 2 tomorrow. So Carter Brown, Crosby, and this man, your winner from this race, Johnny Garness, will be the front row. Stevenson, Willis up there once again, and Keanu Vaya, the Dutch rider, the younger brother of Colin Vaya, the Red Bull rookie, will start on row 2. Well, Johnny Garness, Taylor, he's got the experience of this category, a year behind him already. He's with the MLab Vision Track Academy. It's his 2nd season now. if he's not the title contender, then I don't know who is really. He's got to be the favourite.
Yeah, he's done an excellent job there. The thing with these junior classes is that riders come through all the time. As people gain experience, you'll be surprised that some of the riders that maybe didn't even score points today, by the end of the year will be there. But it was a great job by both Johnny Garness, Crosby and Carter Brown there as well.
What's more challenging, commentating on this race or managing the Moto3 World Championship team?
I'm not sure what's more stressful. It's all equally as stressful. I feel like a parent more than a team manager most of the time. I feel like they're my kids out there racing, so I don't actually have any children. So these are my kids now that I feel like I'm looking after. I've got a lot more sympathy for my dad.
That's a big family there. The wise words of Taylor McKenzie there, the 29-year-old Taylor McKenzie, who of course was the 2016 National Superstock Champion here at BSB. So Johnny Garness from pole sets his best lap of the race on the final lap, and having been glued together with the other riders, he really boxed clever there, didn't he? He was almost 0.8 of a second ahead by the time he took the second flag. Crosby and Brown will join him on the podium via Hitchcock, Stevenson. Brown, by the way, third in the race, but fastest lap, so he's on pole for Sunday. Correa was on the front row, dropped down to 7th, the American. Then it's Peter Willis of Northern Ireland. Taylor said earlier on, watch out for Roosbrook, and he finishes inside the top 9. Clayton Edmonds, new name this year, top 10. Desoy and Ollie Walker, one of the Steve Patrickson machines. And then the other two right behind, Hopkins and Lucas Brown, with Dan Goodman completing the point scorers there in 15th place. Big field though, 32 of them started the race. You can see a few of them failed to make the finish. Harley McCabe we lost just before half race distance. We think there was quite possibly contact made with one of the other riders in the leading group at Luffield. Betty Stewart Campbell looked as though he'd taken a bit of a knock, but did walk away at Maggers. Unsurprisingly, of course, the championship standings after race 1 mirror those race results. 25 points for the win, a gap of 5 between first and second, then it decreases by 1. 4, 3, 2 is the difference, and it goes down to 1 point for 15th place. There will be another race of the same length, another 22 laps here at Silverstone on Sunday.
Johnny Garness, congratulations. Your first victory then of the 2022 season. You finished 5th overall last year, didn't you? I mean, it's great to get your campaign off to a great start with the early victory. How was that out there for you?
Yeah, it was a great day, pole position, and won the race. I played the long games, trying to stay in 3rd and 4th in the middle of the pack. And then towards the last couple of laps, I decided I wanted to go in front and clear off. And I did, and I'm really happy about today. And I'd like to thank my team massively for improving the bike, improving suspension, and Simon Marsh for making this all possible.
You got your fastest lap as well on that last lap. I mean, did you expect to go as fast as you did in that race?
No, I don't think so, but I just pushed as much as I could on the last lap so I could pull away from the other guys and just take an easy last lap. And yeah, it just worked out perfectly for me, and I'm really happy.
Johnny, what's the plan for this season then?
This season we're doing the European Talent Cup and the British Talent Cup, and we're just going to improve as much as we can in the European Talent Cup because it's the fastest kids in the world out there, and we're just going to go do our best and just see what happens this year.
Busy year for you then, Johnny. Well, congratulations on that epic race, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you. See ya.
I played the long game, thanking all the sponsors and all the team. He's 13 years old, Taylor. He's the most mature 13-year-old ever.
It's easy to forget when you're watching these races that they're riding 140 mile an hour motorbikes and they are just kids at the end of the day.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Worked so hard with his dad, Tom, who I was chatting with earlier on. As I said during the race, they're from Ilfracombe in Devon. Turned 13 at Thruxton when we were racing there last year, so he'll be turning 14 in July, at the end of July. He actually finished second. I mentioned during the race that Keanu Vaya was the European Minimoto champion back in 2019. It was Johnny Garness who finished second to him that year. But like you said, there's going to be so many changes, aren't there, through the season. Let's have a look at one of these bikes then. They're all pretty much standard Hondas. There's the Dunlop Slick Racing tyres, and that's the main difference, isn't it, really, Taylor, to the other junior categories here at BSB. They're on slick racing tyres. Yeah, and it's a great thing for them to learn to get on slick tyres, because as they move up into the other Grand Prix categories, they're all obviously on slicks as well. So it's important to get on those early, learn exactly what a slick tyre does, how it works. They've got a lot more grip on the side of the tyre than a treaded tyre would. And yeah, it's a good thing that they can get on them at this age. There's Crosby's bike on the right-hand side, the Banks Racing Machine, number 15. He'll be pleased with that. There's a really strong start to the season for Crosby. He was up there last year in the leading group, had a couple of third places. So it's great that he's added to that tally already to kickstart this new season. That's Larry Carter there on the left. In the background is Alex Baldolini, the former World Supersport rider, and a podium finisher there as well. Michael Laverty's in there as well. Look, left-hand side of your screen, and he'll be delighted to see two of his riders up on the rostrum. Carter Brown, he'll be pleased with that, won't he? It was never going to be easy here on the short circuit at Silverstone. It's always a little bit of a lottery on that last lap in particular. His teammate, though, here. Are we going to be looking back, I wonder, Taylor, in the future at MotoGP World Champion Johnny Garnes and looking back on these days when he won the Talent Cup race at Silverstone?
Oh, there's every chance, every chance.
You never, ever know. Harrison Crosby up there as well. Here comes Baldo with the trophies. As I said, it's Matt Belchin from the Motorsport Vision Racing point of view and Alex Baldolini from a Dorna point of view working here in the paddock. The Canada taking in Alton Park in 2 weeks' time. Then we're off to Donington Knock Hill up in Scotland for another challenge altogether. Brands Hatch on the full Grand Prix circuit will be interesting in the middle of July. Then the Grand Prix here at Silverstone, start of August. Thruxton, Snetterton in Norfolk, and the full Grand Prix circuit at Donington Park hopefully will be a last race title decider on the 2nd of October. Johnny Garnes then, he really did control the race. You could just tell from the interview with Rachel Stringer there, he never doubted his ability to be able to win there. And as Taylor said, putting in his fastest lap on the last lap. Beautiful conditions at Silverstone in Northamptonshire for the opening Honda British Talent Cup race of 2022, Season 5. Who would follow in the footsteps of Rory Skinner, Scott Ogden, Franco Bourne and Casey O'Gorman as the 2022 champion? It wasn't to be Harley McCabe in this particular race. His first full season, one of the many MLab Vision Track Academy riders was out of action. And then a scare as Harrison McKay on the Wilson Racing Machine, who will turn 14 on Monday after this round, pulled off with an engine blow. Luckily, great work by the Silverstone marshals. No oil had gone down. The race did not need to be stopped, and on they went. Harrison Crosby, number 15 with the yellow machine, was up there for the whole race. It was a group of 8, but Johnny Garnes pulled away by 0.8 of a second. His personal best lap on the final tour. Crosby over the line from Carter Brown, but Garnes from pole wins the first race of the season.
What a shot.